do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Also known as the Golden Rule, right? It's a rule that I was taught at a very young age, and I believe that it should be respected in all regards. How you treat the people around you, and how you go about people who treat you badly. Right? I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually, because I've been reflecting on my past relationships, my past friendships, and how I would go about, treating, different people, right? And like why certain habits have emerged. For example, I would give a lot of energy into people, but I would not get that energy back onto me, right? This idea of reciprocity, right, was never being achieved in a lot of my friendships / relationships that I've had over my lifetime. And so what that would lead me to do is that I would feel drained. I would feel lost. I would just be very unhappy in general, because I was treating these people like how I wish they would treat me, but I was not receiving that. And so I realized I had to let go. Moreover, in my relationships that I've had, there would be a point in time where, I would find myself not respecting myself enough. And I would do things that, that I would hold shame about, right? Or, I would, looking back, I would see that I was either getting abused or not, just being treated right. But I didn't respect myself enough to understand that. People will only treat you how much you respect yourself, right? People will only treat you the way that you respect yourself. If you don't respect yourself, people will not treat you well. Moreover, if you do respect yourself, you will find yourself in situations where people do respect you, right? And you don't find yourself in unfavorable positions or places where you're just being mistreated, because you respect yourself enough to walk away from these things. Yeah, I know in my life there was definitely a long period in time where I did not really respect myself. I would blame others around me, right? I would never take fault, and I would just find myself just not, really caring how other people saw me or treated me, as long as I thought that they liked me, people pleasing tendencies, right? That was the main thing for me. That was the main attribute that I had, right? This insatiable want to have people's validation, because I did not really feel like I had that growing up. So that led me to put myself in situations where I was not respected. And I'm able to look back on it now and grow from my experiences, right? But it's taken a while. It's taken a lot of looking into the mirror and understanding that I am the root of all my problems, right? And so I had to look at myself and be like, what is it that I'm doing, and what can I do to change that? And so, what I did, that I followed the rule of reciprocity. If people are not going to treat me, or if I'm giving a lot of energy towards people that I'm not really receiving, I'm just going to cut them off, right? And not in any way malicious, right? Because some people I couldn't really necessarily cut off, but I stopped giving as much energy to people. I found myself, distancing myself and putting that energy that I would have given to other people onto myself, right? Another thing is, like, if you maybe you are trying to, like, have a relationship with someone else, or maybe you are, just trying to find someone, right? But you find yourself, maybe getting ghosted, or not being, like, not given the time of day, right? It does you well to not worry about that, right? You're trying to bring a ghost back alive, when really you should just let them be a ghost. It doesn't do you any favors to worry about people who are not even thinking about you, right? If you could take time to really acknowledge that, really back away from these things or these people, right, as much as you can, from, like, and stop giving them so much energy and putting that energy onto yourself, you will find yourself in a much better position, which in turn will allow you to respect yourself more. Another thing that I did, right, I would focus on attributes of myself instead of, like, physical attributes. I would focus on things that I liked about myself that weren't physical. There we go. That's a better way of saying that. So, like, for example, I would like to I like to believe that I can be a very kind person. I think being kind is very very beneficial, and it's a trait that I have I try to exert all the time. And so I would highlight that, like, kindness is one of my core values, one of my core traits. Another thing is honesty. I've been told that I can be pretty blunt, but overall I am a very honest person. I don't like to lie. It's just not in me. I've known from a young age that I can't really, like, get away with lying. I can't really lie, and so why would I do that? Why would I do that? And so instead, I just found myself just being honest, and that's a trait that I really like, because I've been around people who could just lie just very, very easily, right? It scares me how easily they could do it, and how little remorse they have, right? So, and I don't mean like little white lies, right? But I mean, like, just straight up just lying to people, and that's scary to me. So I like that idea, or I like to say I'm a pretty honest person. But just highlighting those traits about myself instead of, instead of worrying about, like, physical traits. That's how, like, and with time, by highlighting these things, or by, appreciating these ideas more, I found myself just respecting myself more than I ever have before, right? And that's not to say that it's easy, or, it didn't take a lot of work, because it did. It took a lot of work to even get to this point, right, where I can even say these things. But, with time, you could do a lot of things, right? As long as you stay consistent, As long as you stay consistent, and everything will work out. Everything will work out. I truly believe that. As long as you believe that things will work out, it will always end up working out for you. No matter how low you go, no matter any circumstances that you may face, everything will work out. But yeah, do unto yourself as others would have undue to you. I believe I said that right. I don't know, but the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. I think everyone should follow it. But yeah, that's what I got. It's good to be out, just getting some sun, and just wanted to share that message. If you're seeing this, I love you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Make sure to take care of yourself. The only person who can take care of you is you. And always remember, man, treat others the way that you want to be treated. Have a good one.